At a New Year's Eve cocktail party, I stood there 5 months pregnant, watching my husband openly allow his mistress to kiss him in front of everyone. 3 months later, I lost my daughter because of poison pastry she gave me while he was walking along the beach with her, watching the sunset, accusing me of using the child as a trap. They destroyed my marriage, my reputation, and my child, and they thought I would simply collapse, stay silent, and disappear. They were wrong. I returned to Wall Street. I froze financing, overturned his company, sent the mistress into an official investigation, and put every truth they buried onto the giant screen at a press conference. This story begins with a pregnant woman being betrayed, and it ends with me personally settling the score for their lives. My name is Emily. I'm 32 years old, 5 months pregnant. It was New Year's Eve, and there was a cocktail party in Silicon Valley's startup circle. My husband, Daniel, said he wanted to take me with him. I put on a loose silk gown to hide my barely noticeable baby bump. In the mirror, my face looked pale, but I told myself it was fine. Daniel would be by my side. The party was held in a hillside villa. Crystal chandeliers dazzled my eyes. Daniel held my hand as we walked in. His palm was warm. Then I saw her. Sophia stood beside the champagne tower, wearing a silver sequined dress, shimmering like a mermaid. She was Daniel's college classmate and now a cardiothoracic surgeon. Daniel smiled and waved at her. She walked over immediately and, without hesitation, looped her arm around his other arm. "Emily, long time no see," she said with a smile, though her eyes never left Daniel. "Daniel keeps saying your pregnancy symptoms have been rough. I was worried you wouldn't make it tonight." Daniel patted the back of her hand. "Sophia flew back just for the holidays. She doesn't have many friends in San Francisco." I stood there as the baby inside me gave a gentle kick. All night long, Daniel stayed by Sophia's side. They talked about wild college stories, cutting-edge medical research, and startup funding struggles. I sat on the couch, sipping warm water in small gulps, like a decorative prop. Someone suggested playing Truth or Dare. The bottle landed on Sophia. "Tell us the most unforgettable thing between you and Daniel," someone shouted. Sophia covered her mouth and laughed softly, glancing at Daniel flirtatiously. "That would be back in med school," she said. "One night after anatomy lab, I passed out from hypoglycemia. Daniel carried me to the clinic, and then she deliberately dragged out the pause. The on-call doctor wasn't there, so he had to give me in for himself." She turned to me and blinked. "Emily, don't mind it." His hands were shaking, he was so nervous. It was adorable. The room burst into laughter. "So that's it? Nothing else happened?" someone teased. Daniel laughed and shook his head. "Sophia has always lacked boundaries. Don't encourage her." The tenderness in his tone pierced me like a needle slipping between my fingers. I lowered my head and rested my hand on my belly. The baby moved again, and suddenly I understood with brutal clarity, in this room, I was nothing but a backdrop. I was Daniel's emotionally stable pregnant wife, an accessory to his respectable life. The bottle spun and stopped in front of me. The room fell silent. Sophia leaned against Daniel's shoulder, her eyes glittering with anticipation. "Emily, your turn," Daniel said lightly. "Truth or dare?" I looked into his eyes, the amber eyes I once loved deeply. "Truth," I said. "Ask something intense," someone yelled. Daniel waved his hand with a smile. "Don't go too far. My wife's pregnant." To everyone else, it must have sounded caring. I took a deep breath. My voice was calm, but clear enough for everyone to hear. "The bravest thing I've ever done in my life," I said, "was choosing to trust someone." The laughter stopped abruptly. Daniel's smile froze. For the first time, something flickered in his eyes, not guilt, but alertness, like a hunter realizing he'd stepped into a trap. Sophia laughed to break the silence. "Oh wow, Emily, that's so romantic." "Daniel, you'd better cherish her." The atmosphere recovered, but Daniel didn't look at me again for the rest of the night. On the drive home, Daniel said nothing. Late that night, I lay in bed and heard him talking on the balcony, his voice low. "Sophia, don't overthink it. She's just sensitive because of the pregnancy." I turned my face into the pillow. The pillow was silk, the one we bought when we got married, cool to the touch. The baby stirred gently. I touched my belly and whispered, "I'm sorry. Mommy wasn't brave enough today." But a voice inside me answered, this was the first time, and it would be the last. 3 days later, I received an anonymous email. There was a video attached. The angle was hidden, the quality blurry, but it was unmistakably the corner of the New Year's Eve party. In the video, Sophia stood on her tiptoes and leaned toward Daniel. People around them were cheering. Daniel laughed and turned his head slightly as if to dodge, but Sophia hooked her arm around his neck and pressed her lips to his face. Not his cheek. The camera shook. When it steadied again, her lips were clearly at the corner of his mouth. Daniel didn't push her away. He smiled, lifted his hand, ruffled her hair, and said something. From his lip movement, it looked like, "Stop it." The video was 47 seconds long. I sat in my study and watched it over and over, 20 times, until every frame burned itself into my retinas. My phone vibrated. It was Sophia. "Emily. Sorry about New Year's. Things just got a little wild. That kiss was only a game punishment, don't misunderstand. Daniel's heart is only with you and the baby." I didn't reply. An hour later, Daniel texted, "Have a financing meeting tonight. We'll be home late." At 2 in the morning, he still hadn't come back. I called him. His phone was off. That night, I lay on the living room couch and waited. My stomach tightened in waves, but I didn't move. I wanted to see how he would walk back into this house. He didn't come home. The next morning, the pain intensified. I called my OB. She told me to come to the hospital immediately. On the way there, I called Daniel 7 times. Every call went to voicemail. The diagnosis: unstable pregnancy, early contractions. Hospitalization for observation was required. The nurse asked, "Where's your husband? We need his signature." I said, "He's busy." At 4 in the afternoon, Daniel finally appeared at the door of my hospital room. He was wearing yesterday's shirt. The collar was wrinkled. His eyes were bloodshot. I looked at him, waiting for "How are you?" for "Is the baby okay?" He sat down on the chair beside the bed and rubbed his face. Then he said, "Did you contact Sophia behind my back?" I froze. "She was called in by the hospital's ethics committee today." He continued, his eyes cold. "Someone filed an anonymous complaint accusing her of unethical conduct and inappropriate relationship with a patient's family member. The complaint was sent from our home IP address." "I didn't," I said. "Then who did?" He stood up, his voice rising. "Emily, I know you don't like her, but she's a top-tier cardiothoracic surgeon. What you did could destroy her career." "I didn't file any complaint," I repeated, word by word. "Then why did it come from our IP? Why last night?" He stepped closer, his finger nearly poking my face. "She called me crying, saying she's too scared to go to work." "Is this what you wanted?" The hospital room door was open. Nurses and family members were watching from the hallway. I forced myself upright. A tearing pain ripped through my abdomen. "Daniel." My voice trembled. "Our child might not make it. I'm hospitalized. You didn't come home all night, and the first thing you do is accuse me of framing your friend?" He sneered. "Don't change the subject. The doctor will handle the baby. Right now, you need to apologize to Sophia. Get out." The word squeezed out through my teeth. He froze. I don't think he had ever heard me speak like that. The next second, his palm struck my face. My head snapped to the side. My ears rang. My cheek burned. The monitor shrieked with alarms. Nurses rushed in. "Her contractions are worsening. Prep for emergency care." In the chaos, I saw Daniel's face drain of color. He stepped back, staring at his own hand as if it didn't belong to him. As they wheeled me toward the emergency room, I heard him whisper, "I didn't mean to," as the anesthesia flowed into my veins. One thought surfaced clearly: that slap broke something. I knew exactly what it was. Our marriage. The baby survived. But the doctor warned me gravely, another intense emotional shock or physical impact could easily cause a miscarriage. The day I was discharged, Daniel was waiting in the living room. He had cooked. The table was set with pregnancy-friendly meals. "Emily," his voice was hoarse. "I lost control that day. I'm sorry. I've been under a lot of pressure. The financing isn't going well. And Sophia's situation." "Stop," I said. He stiffened. "I don't want explanations." I held the railing and went upstairs. "I'm tired." Back in the bedroom, I looked for the pearl necklace my mother had left me. She gave it to me on my 18th birthday and said pearls were a woman's armor. Whenever I was overwhelmed, I touched it. The drawer was empty. I searched every jewelry box. Nothing. My heart sank. I opened Instagram. Sophia's account popped up. Daniel followed her, so her posts were always suggested. Her latest photo showed her in a silk robe, leaning against a hotel floor-to-ceiling window. Around her neck was a pearl necklace. A close-up shot revealed the soft luster of the pearls and the tiny crescent-shaped diamond notch on the pendant. I could draw it with my eyes closed. Caption: Thank you for giving me courage. You were right, some beautiful things are meant for those who truly understand them. As for the original owner, she probably didn't deserve this level of refinement at Daniel. Someone commented, who's the original owner? Sophia replied, just someone who was keeping it for me temporarily. My hands were shaking, but not from sadness. From anger. Cold, sharp anger, like a scalpel slicing my chest open. I took screenshots, saved them, backed them up to the cloud. Then I picked up my phone and dialed 911. I want to report a theft of valuable jewelry. 20 minutes later, the police arrived. Daniel rushed downstairs in a panic. Emily, what are you doing? I showed the officers the photos, the purchase receipt. Thank God I'd kept my mother's original invoice and the jewelry appraisal certificate. Then I pulled up the home security footage. Sophia had come by the house the previous week, claiming she needed to use the bathroom. She stayed alone in my bedroom for 17 minutes. The footage was crystal clear. She opened my jewelry box, took out the necklace, examined it, then slipped it into her handbag. Undeniable evidence. At the police station, Daniel tried to smooth things over. Officer, this has to be a misunderstanding. Sophia just borrowed it to wear. She was going to return it. There's no such thing as borrowing in a theft case. The female officer said coolly, especially when the owner had no knowledge. Daniel turned to me, lowering his voice. Emily, do you really have to make this so big? She has surgeries scheduled. A criminal record would ruin her. I looked him straight in the eyes. Then let her be ruined. In the end, Sophia was summoned. She arrived crying, returned the necklace on the spot, and insisted she had taken the wrong one. But the evidence was irrefutable. The case was filed. She could post bail, but the record would stay. Outside the station, Daniel grabbed my arm. Are you satisfied now? I shook him off. No. I said, this is just the beginning. That night, I registered a new encrypted cloud drive. I began backing everything up, systematically. All bank transactions, company equity documents, screenshots of Daniel and Sophia's messages synced from his old phone, the New Year's Eve video, medical records, the police report from today. I named the folder, Settlement. Sophia's counterattack came fast. 3 days later, she went live on YouTube. On camera, she was barefaced, wearing a white lab coat. Her eyes were swollen and red. I just want to be a good doctor, she sobbed. I don't understand why someone would target me like this. Yes, Daniel and I have known each other for many years, and we shared good memories. But ever since he got married, I kept my distance. I even took the initiative to avoid impropriety. The live comments exploded. Sending hugs. The wife is so vicious. I heard she used a baby to trap him. Just because you're pregnant doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. Disgusting. At the end of the live stream, Sophia looked into the camera with tears in her eyes. Emily, if you're watching, I'm begging you, please let me go. The child is innocent, but you shouldn't use a child to chain someone who doesn't love you. The video went viral. The next day, Daniel's company released a statement, not in his personal name, but through the official corporate account. Recent rumors regarding the private life of our founder Daniel have seriously damaged the company's reputation. Mr. Daniel and Ms. Sophia are longtime friends and have no inappropriate relationship. Mr. Daniel has always been loyal to his marriage and family. We urge the public to stop spreading false information and respect personal privacy. Between the lines, Sophia was framed as the victim, and I became the crazy woman spreading lies. My social media accounts were dug up, Instagram, LinkedIn, even my college alumni directory. My inbox flooded. Die, old woman. You don't deserve Daniel. Using a baby to trap a man, pathetic. The mistress has true love. What are you, a walking uterus? Someone mailed a package to my house. A box of baby clothes. Every piece was splashed with red paint spelling bitch. I went out for a prenatal checkup and a stranger threw coffee on me outside the clinic. Slut! She screamed. Stay away from Sophia. The coffee was scalding. It poured down my arm. A nurse rushed out and pulled me inside. When Daniel found out, all he said over the phone was, "You're emotionally unstable right now. Try not to go out. Don't look at the internet. The attention will die down." They found our home address. I said, "Then go stay with your parents for a few days." He snapped impatiently, "Emily, grow up. This is the cost of being famous. I'm an entrepreneur, a public figure. You need to learn to endure this." That night, I looked at myself in the mirror. My arm was red and blistered. My hair was sticky with dried coffee. Dark circles ringed my eyes. I opened Instagram and found Sophia's latest post. A photo of her and Daniel at a Michelin star restaurant. 30,000 comments, everyone congratulating them. I typed a single line in the comments, let it play out. Then I pinned it. I turned off my phone. Steam filled the bathroom as I slowly lowered myself into the bathtub. Warm water wrapped around my swollen body. The baby kicked softly. I touched my belly and whispered, "Mommy is learning how to fight a battle she won't lose." Sophia came to my house herself on a rainy Thursday. She carried an elegant handmade food box and smiled gently. "Emily, I'm here to apologize. Everything before was a misunderstanding. I was too impulsive. These are organic pastries I made myself, very good for pregnant women." Daniel stood behind her. His expression relaxed. "She learned specially for this. Just accept it." Inside the box were delicate macarons and cookies, wrapped in pastel blue and pink, tied with ribbon. I accepted it, not because I trusted her, but because I wanted to see just how shameless they could be. That night, the pain hit like a knife twisting inside me. The ambulance screamed through the streets as I was rushed to the ER. Through the agony, I heard a doctor shout, "Suspected poisoning. Prepare for gastric lavage. Fetal heart rate is dropping." As the tube was forced down my throat, I thought about the taste of that pastry. I had only eaten one, blueberry. So sweet it turned bitter. The operating room lights were blinding. I grabbed the doctor's sleeve. "My baby, can she be saved?" The doctor hesitated. "We'll do everything we can." At 3 in the morning, I woke from the pain. The first thing I did was touch my stomach. Still there, but the fetal heart monitor showed a line so faint it looked ready to snap. I picked up my phone and called Daniel. It rang 7 times before he answered. In the background, I heard waves and music. "Emily?" His voice was lazy, slightly drunk. "What's wrong? Calling this late?" "I'm in the ER," I said. "There was something in the pastries Sophia gave me. The baby might not make it." Silence. 2 seconds passed. Then I heard his sigh, annoyed, irritated. "Emily," he said, each word like ice. "Stop using the baby to frame her." Time froze. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. "All the doctors can testify," I forced out. "Doctors?" He scoffed. "Didn't your dad donate a building to that hospital?" "Emily, I don't have time for this performance. I'm with investors. Stop making trouble." The line went dead. I lay there on the cold ER bed, gripping my phone. Suddenly, a violent cramping tore through my abdomen. I slammed the call button, my hands shaking. When the nurse rushed in, the sheets were already soaked in blood. "Fetal heartbeat lost. Prep for surgery." As they wheeled me toward the operating room, my phone was still in my hand. The screen was lit. Daniel and Sophia had posted a photo 10 minutes earlier. Sunset by the sea. His arm around her shoulders. Caption, "With the one who understands you." Watching every sunset, as the anesthesia flowed into my veins. Darkness closing in. My final thought was, maybe this is for the best. A child not wanted by her father doesn't need to come into this world and suffer. When I woke up, my stomach was flat, empty, like something had been carved out of me. No, something had been carved out. "My child," the nurse spoke softly. "It was a girl, very beautiful, but we couldn't save her." "I'm so sorry." I didn't cry. I stared at the ceiling as something inside my chest shattered and reassembled. The weak Emily, the one who believed in love and waited to be saved, died on that operating table. The one who survived was someone else. Someone who would never shed another tear. After I was discharged, I returned to New York. Not to my parents' home, to my battlefield. Before marriage, I had been a vice president at Morgan Stanley. When I resigned, my boss had sighed and said, "If you ever want to come back, The seat will still be yours. I came back. On my first day, I wore a tailored suit and deep red lipstick. The woman in the mirror looked cold, composed. Nothing about her revealed that she had just lost a child. My colleagues were careful not to mention anything. I knew they had seen the news, the spectacle of the vicious wife. I turned on my computer and did the first thing that mattered. I pulled up the financing structure of Daniel's company. He was in the middle of a Series C round. Sequoia was the lead investor. Several of the co-investors were my former clients. I picked up the phone. John. It's Emily. Yes, I'm back. I want to talk to you about a deal. No, not to help you make money. This one's about helping you avoid losing it. Do you know the AI healthcare startup you're about to co-invest in? Their core algorithm shows clear signs of having copied Stanford lab research. I've sent you the evidence. And by the way, the founder's private life is a legal risk. Your investment committee will care about that, right? 3 days later, Sequoia paused due diligence. A week later, 2 co-investors withdrew their term sheets. Daniel called me, furious. Emily, are you the one sabotaging this? I sipped my coffee, looking out at the Manhattan skyline. Daniel, business is business. Everyone plays by their own skill. Are you insane? This is my company. We're not divorced yet. This is marital property. I laughed. You're wrong. According to the prenup, the one you insisted on, the company equity is your personal asset, not mine. I spoke slowly. So if it goes bankrupt, I don't lose a cent. On the other end of the line, his breathing turned heavy. Oh, one more thing. I added. The hospital where Sophia works received an anonymous report. Evidence of medical record tampering and illegal prescriptions. She's been suspended pending investigation. You and your CTO just submitted his resignation. Guess where he's going? Google. I made the introduction. I hung up. I opened my email. A new message had arrived. Emily, the full medical malpractice files you requested on Sophia are attached. 37 cases total. 3 resulted in permanent patient disability. Her father paid to bury them years ago. Sender, an insider at the state medical board. I replied, thank you. Payment has been transferred. I closed my laptop and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. It was snowing in New York. Snowflakes drifted down, covering the city's filth and glory alike. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Silicon Valley rising star Daniel's company valuation slashed in half as investors pull out. The photo showed Daniel in his office, covering his face. I deleted the alert. This was only the beginning. Sophia came for me on a blizzard night. I worked late. It was past 10 when I stepped out of the office building. A handkerchief soaked in ether was suddenly pressed over my mouth and nose. When I woke up, I was in an abandoned warehouse. The smell of rust and mold filled the air. My hands and feet were taped. Sophia squatted in front of me, casually flipping a surgical scalpel in her hand. She looked thinner. Her eye sockets were sunken. Her white coat was filthy, like someone who had escaped from an asylum. You ruined me, she rasped. The hospital fired me. My license was revoked. My father cut me off. Everyone calls me a mistress, a butcher. The scalpel touched my cheek, cold. I was supposed to have a brilliant future. I was a top surgeon. Daniel loved me. She screamed. It's all because of you. Why did you come back? Why didn't you die on that operating table? I looked at her calmly. You put something in the pastries, I said. She froze. The substance that caused my miscarriage was misoprostol. I continued. Prescription only, but easy for a surgeon to obtain. You didn't expect me to run lab tests, did you? Her pupils contracted. I didn't just test it. I preserved samples and sent them to 3 independent labs. The reports are with my lawyer. Sophia, this is attempted murder. I didn't, she shrieked. I just wanted you to miscarry. I didn't want to kill you. But my child died, I said, each word cut like a blade. She snapped, swinging the scalpel wildly. You forced me, you told Daniel, made him distance himself from me. You destroyed my life. You deserve to die. As the blade lunged toward my throat, the warehouse door slammed open. Daniel rushed in, face pale. Sophia, stop! He threw himself in front of me. The scalpel plunged into his abdomen. Sophia stared at her blood-covered hands. Stunned. Daniel, I didn't mean to. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Officers burst in, guns raised. Drop the weapon. Sophia stumbled back, suddenly clutching her chest. Her face turned blue. Medication, my medication. She had a congenital heart condition. The pill bottle rolled from her pocket, empty. She collapsed, convulsing. Her pupils dilated. An officer checked her pulse and shook his head. No breathing. Daniel lay beside me, blood seeping from his abdomen. He looked at me, lips trembling. Emily. I'm sorry. I looked at him and said nothing. As the ambulance took him away, he kept murmuring, "The baby." I'm sorry about the baby. I sat in the police car, watching the snowstorm outside. At the warehouse entrance, Sophia's body was covered with a white sheet, like the curtain closing on a grotesque play. 1 week later, Daniel was out of critical condition. On the day he regained consciousness, I held a press conference, not as a victim, but as a vice president of Morgan Stanley and as Daniel's ex-wife. The press conference was live-streamed nationwide. I walked onto the stage. No tears, no accusations. I calmly opened the presentation. The first file, the New Year's Eve video, high definition, with audio. Sophia's voice was clear. Daniel, on your wedding day, I almost swallowed a whole bottle of sleeping pills. The second file, hospital lab reports, high concentrations of misoprostol detected in food, direct causal link to miscarriage. The third file, Sophia's malpractice records, 37 cases, 3 permanently disabled patients. The fourth file, evidence of corporate espionage. Emails showed Sophia selling Daniel's company's core code to a competitor, with Daniel's knowledge. He hid it from the board to protect her. The fifth file, my bank statements. They showed that since marriage, I had never taken a single dollar from Daniel. Instead, I had used my own savings to fund his company's early operations. The final slide was a black and white ultrasound image. My daughter. Caption, she was here. Her name was Hope. The room was dead silent. Then the flashbulbs exploded. I leaned into the microphone and said only one sentence: the law will judge those who deserve judgment. As for me, I've already completed my settlement. I turned and walked off the stage. That night, 7 of the top 10 trending topics on Twitter were related. Hashtag Daniel Company Collapse, hashtag Sophia Medical Scandal, hashtag Emily Press Conference, hashtag Hope, hashtag Silicon Valley Scam, hashtag Women Don't Sacrifice, hashtag Love Does Not Require Proof. Daniel's company stock dropped to zero. Investors filed class action lawsuits for fraud. The day he was forced out of the hospital, he called me. His voice sounded 70 years old. Emily. I was wrong. I was so wrong. I didn't know about Sophia. I regret the baby every day. Can we start over? I swear I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I looked out at the New York night skyline. You blocked a knife. Daniel. I said. Not responsibility. What? That night in the warehouse. You took the blade from me. I'm grateful. But that wasn't redemption, just instinct. Real responsibility is choosing the right side every day. In every decision. You never did. He cried. I hung up. 3 days later, I posted a photo. No faces. Just 2 hands intertwined. Simple platinum wedding bands on our ring fingers. Caption, with Lucas. Calm. Equal. Choosing each other. Lucas was my college classmate. A Cambridge PhD in law. Now a human rights attorney. He had stayed single all these years. Quietly watching from afar. The comments overflowed with congratulations. Someone asked. So fast, already moved on? I replied, I didn't move on. I moved into a new life. At the same time, the media photographed Daniel. He was driving for a rideshare company in San Francisco. A sign on the passenger seat read, Bankrupt Founder. Paying off debts. At a red light, he stared at a giant street screen. It was playing my interview. On screen, I smiled and said, real strength isn't forgiving harm. It's leaving harm behind and living better. He slumped over the steering wheel. No one knew whether he was crying or laughing. My wedding with Lucas took place at City Hall in New York. Simple. A few friends. I wore a white pantsuit. He wore a dark gray suit. As we exchanged rings, he said, you don't have to be a perfect wife. You don't have to be a great mother. You're just Emily, and that's who I love. I cried. For the first time. For happiness. After marriage, I was promoted to fund partner. My office changed, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. Lucas's firm took on many women's rights cases. Some nights, we worked late, he brewed coffee. I reviewed documents, just like college days rushing deadlines together. One day, the BBC interviewed me and asked about the past scandal. I gave my final answer: women don't need to sacrifice themselves to prove love. Real love doesn't require proof. After the program aired, letters poured in from women I didn't know. They wrote that my story helped them leave abusive husbands, cheating boyfriends, manipulative partners. I kept the letters in a box. The label read, Hope's Legacy. Yes, my daughter's name was Hope. She never came into this world, but she changed many worlds. One evening, I stood by my office window, overlooking New York as the city lights came on. My phone buzzed. It was Daniel. He sent a photo from the back row of a Silicon Valley tech forum. He sat there, hollow-eyed, staring at the stage. On stage was the CTO he had once fired, now worth hundreds of millions. Caption: I deserve this. I didn't reply. I deleted the conversation. Lucas came to pick me up, holding a bouquet of sunflowers. Past a flower shop. He smiled. Thought of you. I took the flowers and slipped my arm through his. As we walked out, the evening breeze was warm. I looked up. New York's night sky rarely had stars. Bright, like Hope's eyes. Like the eyes of every woman who struggled through darkness and finally opened them. I didn't look back, because there was light ahead.